Hello, 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 how are you? This is Els Kennedy from Bemis Crafty Corner, and today we're going to be making some ephemera storage. I'm going to be doing a couple of different videos on a couple of different ways of doing this. The first one is the biggest project by far, and it is going to be kind of 3, maybe 4-part series. So if you're like me and you've got stuff, you know, I've got ephemera in envelopes and in boxes and in these books and just, you know, sitting around. I have it in my, you know, in my big, these things, you know, I have ephemera in here. It's kind of everywhere. And I want to put it all in one place where I can just pull it down and look at it. And so, we're going to be doing some storage. There's a couple of benefits to this particular one. One, the pages all lay flat when you open it up. So that is a benefit. 2, it has a lot of room in it to put stuff into. 3, you can see everything very clearly. So I'm going to get together a list of supplies, and I will be right back, and we'll get started on this one, okay? I'll be right back. Alrighty, supplies on this one, guys. You're going to want some 12 by 12 chipboard. You're going to want some file folders. Doesn't matter where the tabs are, they can be anywhere. Your scoreboard, your scoring tools, your bone folder, all your adhesives, your normal stuff. You're going to want your paper cutter or trimmer, and you're going to want some 12 by 12 paper, or whatever kind of paper you want to cover this in, if you want to do it in wallpaper, whatever. And you're pretty much going to want, like, some Tyvek. You're going to need some Tyvek for this because we're going to create a book. It's going to be pretty thick, and it's going to have a lot of, you know, pieces in it, so it's going to be heavy. So plan accordingly, okay? All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut some file folders down, and I'm going to show you how to do that, and then we're going to do some scoring on some of them, and I will be right back to show you how we're going to do that, okay? So let me just get some space cleared, get the cutter out, we'll do some trimming. I'll be right back. All right, file folders. We are going to cut this at 8 inches from the fold on the tab side, so we're going to get rid of the tab. Done. Then we're going to turn it over, we're going to open it, and we're going to cut this at 1/2 inch. Okay? So we want this to be 1/2 inch. Quarter of an inch. My bad. There we go. All right, keep that. And you should have that. We don't need. Let me get this out of the way. Now, you should have file folders that look like this. Okay, now you don't want it to be more than 11 inches tall, and the file folders are 11 3/4, so we're going to take 1 inch off, make it 10 3/4, just so there's a little inside the book. So I'm just going to put it in here, put it on the 1 inch, and take that off. I don't really need this, but you know what? Save it, because this makes really good gussets for pockets and stuff, so keep a hold of that. All right, so you should have a piece that is now 11 3/4, 8 inches with a 1/4 inch flap. Okay, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. I don't know, it's in the description down below. It's a 1/2 inch. Let me see. It is a 1/2 inch. Okay, so you're gonna get a whole stack of these together, 6 or 8 or 4, whatever. But you're going to get a stack of these together. You're going to get as many pages as you want. And then you're going to get out a pad of scrapbook paper. And I do kind of recommend that you know, You could use cardstock on this, but use thinner cardstock. Scrapbook paper. Yeah. So get that out. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to match. It's not important. But get that out, and we're going to do the pages first, and then we're going to go back and do the cover. So I will be back in just a minute with all of my pages, and we'll get started. All right. So I have all my pages, and I have out a pad that is actual paper. This is a 360 sheet pad, so in here I should be able to find, you know, something. So I'm going to go ahead and pick something that I want to put on here, and we'll just randomly pick something. So here's one right here. Is that good? We use that one? No? We like that? We want to keep it for later? Okay. Here. There we go. Let me get this out of the way because it is kind of bulky. And we're going to select a lot of paper out of it, okay? Now, a lot of people have said use glue stick. Okay? But we know that for the most part, I am anti-glue stick. I'm anti-glue stick because it just comes apart. But there is a little bit of a rumor that says that if you just put glue on this, that it, you know, it wrinkles. So this is your choice. All right. I'm going to use just some PVA glue here. And so I'm just going to put this on. And yes, it's going to bow, but that's okay because I'm going to, you know, I will, when they're drying, I will put them under something to dry. All right, so I have my glue on there. And then I'm just going to put my paper on right up to that fold. Come on now. Let's not be silly. There we go. And then I'm just going to press that down. You can press this down however you want. Typically I use my Dine and Dash card. That's my pay card for when Amy and I do the food thing. Okay, so once I got it down and it's dry, then I'm going to go ahead and trim this off, okay? So let's get out some scissors. Trim this off. Okay. Hold on to that because we're going to use it on something later on. And all I'm going to do is just cover all my pages. Okay, and if they warp a little bit, that's okay. Once I'm done with them, I'm going to put them under a heavy book and press them overnight, probably. All right, so I'm going to get all my pages covered, and you cover all of yours exactly the same. And then when we come back, I will walk you through the next part of this, which will be working on the cover. Okay, so all my pages covered with paper and ready to go, and then I'll be back. Okay? Okay, so our cover is pretty much going to be, you know, the same we would make for any journal. You can do this one of two ways. You can either pre-cover these, you know, with individual paper, and then put a paper on the inside, or You can do it as a regular traditional book if you have like some wallpaper or something that's big enough that would cover the whole thing. Because you've got like a 5-inch spine, and then, you know, 2 8-inch pieces. So you have to have something that's 21 inches across to cover this. So if you were covering it in fabric, or you were covering it with like wallpaper, then you could probably do this like a traditional book. If you're not using those, well, then you're going to want to do this by covering each section, all, you know, the outsides, and then putting on an inside cover and having a piece that's wide enough to come around here, still allowing you to have your Tyvek's, okay? So let's do this the hard way, okay? So we're going to get some 12 by 12 paper that is going to cover our pieces here, and we're going to need 4 sheets because we need one for each of the outside pieces and then something for the inside pieces, and then we're going to also want something that's going to cover this, okay? And for this, it's got to be a little bit more than 12 by 12, so we're probably going to cover this with some kind of fabric or wallpaper, okay? So I'm going to get some paper for this, and I'll be back to show you how we're going to cover these real quick and easy, and then we will move on to the next part of this, which is going to be putting pockets in. So I'll be right back. Alright, so what I am using is something called artisan paper. It is 21 inches tall by 31 inches wide, so it's kind of like wallpaper. And I've cut a piece of this down that will cover my covers. And so what I'm going to do is take my covers that I've pre-cut, and I'm going to be gluing them down on here just like I would any other book, and then I'm going to be turning all of this in. So let's go ahead and get some glue on here, and I'm going to use a credit card to do this because I have to put a lot of glue on here. So I probably should turn this right side up before I started this. Alright, so I'm going to put my glue on. Normally I would use bookbinding glue, but I don't feel like getting out the paintbrush and all that other stuff. So what I'm going to do is just put on this glue, and then I'll just use like a credit card to mush it, you know, end to end, corner to corner kind of thing. And then I get to have the fun of peeling it off later. Alright, so I'm going to get this well covered. There we go. And then I'm going to turn this over in the middle of my paper. And then I'm going to use my brayer to press this out. Alright, that's on there. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other piece. And then I'm going to get out some scissors. And I'm going to do some corner cuts here. I'm going to cut in and out. Just like I would, you know, doing a regular bookbinding. I'm going to cut in towards the corner and then turn my scissors and cut out so that I'm creating these weird wedged corners. Okay, and once I have that, then what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put glue on the edge here. Let me get this piece out of the way so we can all see what we're working on here. I will put glue on my edge. starting to feel like this glue bottle might be empty. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I'll put some glue on my edges. Okay. And once I have that on, then I'll go ahead and I'll fold my sides up. And once I have all my sides up and everything, then I'll go ahead and put some clamps on this just to hold it while it dries. All right? So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You guys go and do the same thing. And I will see you back here in just a few minutes. Go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so the next thing we want to do after we have these all glued down is we want to cut, you know, some paper to cover. And I've just picked, you know, some plain paper that I'm going to put here. And so I'm going to glue these down. And then once I have these glued down, I will be ready to get started building the cover, which we're going to do in part 2, okay? So I'm going to get these glued down, and then we'll get started in the next video on doing the cover. But, you know, putting it all together. But I did want to talk about the pages. And so this is one of the pages that I created earlier. You know, here's my stack of covered pages. And this one has pockets already on it. And you can see that my ephemera is going to be able to go in here and be visible, so that when I open this book, I'll be able to see what I have in here. So we're going to talk about how I created these, okay? So I'm going to pause this video for just a second, and I will be back to show you how I created these, okay? Alright. So what I have here are those pieces that we cut off that I said you should hold on to. So we have those. I have some 1/4 inch double-sided tape, a brayer, a pair of scissors, and I said I would show you how to do this 2 ways. So this is plastic, and it's a pretty thick plastic bag. It's just packaging, repurposed packaging. It's about the same thickness as like a freezer bag, like a Hefty's freezer bag. The other bag that you can use for this are the, if you go to the Dollar Tree, they sell those extra large Ziploc storage bags. Those are the same consistency as this. And this is some vellum. This is a colored vellum. This is a heavyweight white vellum. And this is like a decorator vellum, which is actually a little thinner, but it has kind of a marbled look to it. So we're going to make some pockets out of all of these. So the first thing we need to do is know the width of our page. Let me grab one and bring it over here. And you can put pockets on both sides of these because you're going to have space between them. So I'm going to go ahead and take these pieces of ephemera out that we put in. Just get those out of the way for the moment. There. And we're going to use the back of this. And I think we're going to go ahead and we'll do a vellum one first. So I'm going to get out a piece of vellum, and we're going to measure our width here, which should be 8 inches, and it is. So about 7 3/4 would be good. So I'm just going to take a tiny little bit off of this because it's 8 inches. Okay. And then we're going to cut our vellum. And when we cut this, we want it to be about 1/4 of an inch on either side and about 1/4 of an inch or so on the bottom. So we're going to measure this piece, which is 2 inches. So we're going to cut our vellum to about 2 1/4. Two and a half. Okay, and I'm going to leave it at the 8.5 inch width because that's going to be my wraparound. Okay, so move this over. We're going to get out our double-sided tape. And I'm going to use the red stuff so you guys can see. Find the end. There it is. So I'm going to be using this on the back of my piece of paper. I'm going to put it down one side. Cut that off. Down the other side. And across one of the long ends. Okay. And then I'm going to use my scissors or my bone folder, whatever, to press this down, because that just makes it easier to release. There we go. And then I'm going to set this on top of my vellum, about where I want it to be, and I'm going to release the tape. It's easier to do it this way. Okay, and take these off. Go. Then I'm going to line that up at the top. Making sure I've got enough on each side to come over. And I'm going to fold this over and press it down. And same thing on the other side. I'm just going to fold it over, press it down, and then I'm going to miter this bottom. We're going to get that pressed up. And across. And that gives me a little pocket that I am then going to put on my page. I'm going to put it right here. So I'm just going to take a little bit of glue. Now, here's the thing. This vellum needs to have more double-sided tape on it. So, little piece here. And on the other end. Across the bottom. Again, removing these. Sorry, those red ones stick. Okay, and then we're going to put our glue on here. And then I'm going to glue this down. press. Okay? And that gives me a pocket that I can put my ephemera in. Alright? So, that is how we do it with the vellum. I'm going to show you how to do it with the plastic. I'll be right back. Alright, so we have to prep this. It is a bag. So, you know, it's closed. So, I'm going to cut this open. And I'm just going to be using a rotary cutter. Just to remove this bottom piece. Okay, we're going to get rid of that. And then I'm just going to use my scissors to kind of go up the side here. And then I have a nice big sheet of plastic. And what I'm going to do is, I've already cut my piece. This one is 3 inches by 8. And so all I'm going to do is just kind of put it at the top. And then I need to cut this. So you can either cut, you know, a strip that is 9 inches wide, or you can just cut them individually. I tend to just fold it in half this way, line up my edge, top and bottom, and then cut a 9-inch strip. So let's go ahead and get this lined up. I'm using my board. Right there. And this doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to make sure you've got enough to, you know, wrap it around the sides. Okay, so now I have my piece of plastic, and my pocket is 3 inches. So I'm going to do this at about 7.5. So now I have a piece of plastic, and I have a piece of paper. We're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to take my double-sided tape, and I'm going to put it on 3 sides, down both sides, on the back. Put away before I cut myself, because we all know I will. Down this side. And then across the bottom. And it doesn't have to be like perfectly on the edge there, you know. Because it's just to hold your plastic. Press it down. And then we're going to go ahead and remove this. Then I'm going to bring my plastic back in, and I apologize that you guys really can't see the plastic very well, but I'm going to match up the top of my plastic with the top of my pocket, making sure that I have a good amount on either side. And then I'm just going to fold the plastic over. Press it down. We'll do the same thing on the other side. And then again, I'm going to go ahead and cut these edges. And then I'm going to fold this up. Now, if I had to choose, I actually prefer the plastic for a couple of different reasons. One, because I can see through it. Two, because it lays flatter in the back and it doesn't warp the paper as much. You could use cardstock for this too. You don't have to use paper. And three, it just has a little more give and flexibility. You know, I mean, look at that, you know. That stays flat, but look, you know. So, that's just personal choice. So once again, we're going to go back over this, and I like to trim this a little bit, the plastic, once I have it on there. Just kind of trim off any big excess that I have. Just gives my glue more place to grab. And then again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put our tape. That's what happens when you let your cat play with the tape. Harry thinks playing with the tape is, you know, his cat-given right. He's always putting his foot up here and trying to steal it, and then it gets, you know, it sticks to his foot, and he has a fit. And he took off one day, and like half a roll of tape went with him. It was great. Alright, so now that I have that on there, I'm going to go ahead and take off the protective cover. Do be careful when you're using, if you're using plastic with the tape, because the tape will come up easier, okay? Then we're going to come back in, we're going to do the glue thing. I'm going to put glue on the tape because the tape will hold initially, but the glue will hold long term, okay? And then once I have my glue, then I can turn this over, put this pocket where I want it, and then go over it. That's where the brayer comes in handy. And then I can put another small pocket down here if I want to, or I can just leave 2 pockets, but I can put as many pockets as I want on here and just work my way through. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do all of my pages, and when we start up on part 2, that's when I'm going to show you how to finish your book cover, because remember, we still don't have our spine covered. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to finish your book cover and how to get all your pages attached and how to get the whole thing put together so that you can start using this for your ephemera. Alright, so that's all I have for you today. If you're new here and you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me, like me, ring my bell, share me with all your friends, and then your friends can be my friends, and my friends can be your friends, and our friends can get to be friends, and before you know it, we have a giant crafting community. I go live on Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 11, 12, and 1 across the country. 8 o'clock over in Hawaii. And I post videos on Mondays and Wednesdays. I have 2 things going in 2022. The first of which are my free classes. I am doing several free classes throughout the year. They're typically 4 to 5 weeks long. And I try to go live you know, if there's any questions, so that I can answer your questions the day that the video releases. If you have any other questions, just put them in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. And I'm also doing my 12 of 22 journal challenge, and if you would like more information for that, you need to go to the description box below. There's a link, takes you to a slideshow, tells you everything that you need to know. If you want more information on those free classes, the best way to get that information is to click on the subscribe, ring the bell and select the all notifications. That way you'll find out as soon as those videos are released. Until the next time, stay well. Bye-bye.